Okay, so welcome to tonight's webinar, everybody. As you can see there, tonight's webinar is called Support Your New Team Members. I suppose I could stop there, really. That's it. That's what you need to do. You need to support your new team members. But no, this is one of a series of 8 webinars that I run. You can see there, I call it the Kleeneze Circle of Success. The first 3, getting started, your first 4 weeks and building your customer base, are really about the catalogue side, the retail side of the business. Then 4 last week was a bit about how to get started team building. And then this week's one is about how to support new team members when they first join your team. I run these webinars every Wednesday, pretty much every Wednesday. So it takes us about 8 weeks to do the whole lot. 6, 7, and 8, as you can see there, over the next 3 weeks. These are more those kind of intangible skills that not to do with Kleeneze particularly, but just about kind of growing yourself. You know, your confidence, your kind of those like time management skills, things like that. How to set goals for yourself, how important your attitude is to the success of your business, things like that. So you can watch them in any particular order, and as I said a moment ago, I'm recording all of these webinars, and right at the end I'll show you where the recordings are. So if you're just starting, like Jack for example, and you want to have a look at the getting started one or your first 4 weeks, you can go back and watch the recordings. You don't have to wait for 5 or 6 weeks to get round to that point again. So tonight we're talking about how to support your new team members, and we're going to be covering understanding the numbers. There's an interesting comment from Amanda a moment there about a team member who's left, and one of the things you'll find when you first start team building is that not everybody that you bring into the business will stay forever. But anyway, understanding the numbers and the importance of their first week or two, the first 7 days I've called that. Looking out for early problems. You know, there's all sorts of things. Just like life, there are obstacles that will be put in their way when they join. And if you've already been in the business, you will know some of those obstacles and problems, so you can help them. Help them prepare for those, and helping them to keep track. There are lots of bonuses and incentives available to Kleeneze. When you first start, you've got no idea what these mean. If people start talking to you about bonus points and SPV and 10% this and 13% that, you haven't got a clue. So you need to, as their team leader, you need to help them and make sure they're aware of what bonuses they can achieve. Getting them to their first meeting is really, really important. I would categorically say that the most successful people in Kleeneze are the ones that have attended the most meetings. I'm sure there are exceptions to that, but you get very few successful Kleeneze distributors who don't come along to the meeting. And one of the things that I found particularly useful for me, and so I'm recommending it to you, and I know not everybody's a great fan of keeping lists and things, but I have a checklist that I go through with all new members, just so I don't forget things, or I don't have to rely on my memory. So that's what we're going through. Should take half an hour or so. As I said, it's all being recorded, so if there's anything that you don't quite catch or you want to just go over again, I'll show you at the end where the recordings are. So it all starts off when you have a new team member. And this is where your business gets really exciting. You know, you may have only been doing the catalogue side of the business for a day or two, or you may have been in the business for a year and you're a very experienced retailer. But having a new team member can be a whole set of new excitement and challenges as well, because it's also where a lot of the hard work begins with new team members. And you will get frustrated. Your success in Kleeneze will be in direct proportion to the amount of frustration you can deal with. If you're the sort of person that gets really stressed out and frustrated by other people and how they behave and how you deal with them, then that's an area that you might want to look at. There's a great book which I'm going to talk about a bit more in the next 3 webinars that I've just finished reading myself, called The Chimp Paradox by Dr. Stephen Peters. I absolutely recommend that. It's a great book. It helps you kind of understand how different people deal with things in different ways and so on. Okay, where are we? And remember, you'll hear, if you start going along to meetings and you hear about really successful distributors who have got large teams, you kind of imagine that you have to be able to recruit 1,000 people yourself to earn a lot of money. But because of the beauty of network marketing, you don't. All you really need is 5 serious people, and you will have a huge, successful Kleeneze business. And that's all you're doing. You're just looking for those people, and you'll find them. You just need to go through some numbers, because not everybody that joins will be as serious as perhaps you are. So, the aftercare and support of a new team member when they join, this is the biggest impact that you can have on the success of your new team member. The biggest impact that anybody can have is themselves. If they are a hard-working, disciplined person who's got a bit of a good work ethic to them, and doesn't get kind of put off by the odd obstacle or whatever, then they'll do well. And that's the biggest thing you can get. But what you can do is how well you support them after they join. And as I said earlier, you need to understand the numbers. You need to understand that many distributors will leave. So when I first started, I used to get really stressed out about this, because I looked at Kleeneze and I started it and I thought, this is absolutely fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted from a business opportunity. If I needed to earn a bit of extra money urgently, I could just put more catalogues out the next day. It was as quick as that. If I wanted to build up a big residual income, I could just bring other people into the business. And I just expected everybody to be as excited by me about it. But they're not. A lot of people are not quite sure what to expect. They maybe replied to an advert that was just, earn an extra £50 a week delivering catalogues, and they're almost expecting a kind of job in a way. So for many people, Kleeneze is not right. And they maybe don't even know that until they've been in the business for a few weeks and they've tried it out. And if those people leave, then don't beat yourself up about it. All you need to be comfortable with is, did you do everything that you could do to support them? If they leave and you think, oh, you know what, maybe I should have popped round and had a cup of tea with them when they had that poor pickup, or maybe I should have rung them up a couple of extra times. If you start thinking about things that you could have done better, then again, no regrets, but prepare to do it better the next time. So, first point there is keeping in touch. There's a little phrase there which I've heard a few times at different meetings. Constant communication keeps people inspired. And that's really, really true. If you first join Kleeneze, especially if you've been used to working in a job environment, in an office or in a shop or something like that, you have all of that kind of social buzz. But when you're in Kleeneze, you're effectively working on your own. So the support and communication from your team leader, from your sponsor, is essential. But what you will find, is that the people who join your team who are motivated, and they are, if you like, your leaders, one of your 5 serious people, they'll be contacting you. You won't need to wait and sort of think, oh, I haven't heard from them for 2 or 3 days, I better give you a call. They'll be ringing you up saying, oh, Chris, this happened. I just put some catalogues out, and I actually got somebody calling me up asking me how long it would take to get an order delivered. Or, and they're all excited about all the new experiences. So you'll find that they will contact you, but for those that aren't contacting you regularly, you need to take the lead, if you like, and contact them. So a quick question for everybody. In their first 7 days, you just bring somebody into the business during their first week. How many times would you think you should call them in that first week? Yeah, excellent. A good range there. So Amanda reckons every day. Dave, sort of 5 times. Jack, a couple of times. So for what it's worth, this is my opinion, you should aim to call them every day. Now, let me just expand on that a little bit. Because what you're actually trying to do, in a way, it's not so much what you say. It's not as if every single day you need to kind of bombard them with information about, don't forget to do that, do your catalogues like this, get out and deliver them like this. You're not kind of on their case all the time. What you're doing is you're building a bit of rapport. Because if it's somebody in your warm list and you already know them really, really well, then obviously you probably wouldn't need to do that. But quite often your team member might be somebody who you've never met. You might have only spoken to them once or twice over the phone while they're going through the information pack. So it's essential that at the beginning you build a bit of rapport with them. You're showing them that you care, you're answering any questions that they might have, and you're just showing them that you're always there for them. By speaking to them regularly, they know that if they've got any questions, they can call you, or you'll be calling them quite soon, so that they know that they'll get their questions answered very quickly. And that just gives them a kind of comfort that, that you care, and secondly, that they don't have to worry about something without getting questions answered. So I'm just going to go through quickly now the sorts of things that I say to people during those first 7 days. So the day after they've signed up, I normally just ring them up and just sort of say, "Hi John, it's Chris, how are you? Just wanted to let you know, just a quick call, because by here obviously they haven't received anything from the head office yet, it's just the day after. But I always say to them, right, I've just sent you an information pack, it's actually a welcome letter. Your catalogue should arrive tomorrow, assuming that they've joined up in the beginning of the week. Obviously, if they join on a Thursday or a Friday, it's going to be the Monday or Tuesday before they get the catalogues. But you know what I mean. And I just wondered if do you have any questions at the moment? And 9 times out of 10, a new starter won't have any questions yet. They'll have answered most of their urgent questions before they decided to join, and most of their questions are going to come once their catalogues arrive and they start unpacking everything. So usually I find that people don't have any questions at that point. But the first call is really just putting their mind at ease, making sure that you've got their number, they've got your number, and so on. And if they do have any queries, that gives them an opportunity to ask them then. Day 2, what I send them in that I've said there I've sent you an info pack. Actually, it's not an info pack; it's a welcome letter. I'll change the wording of that. And in that welcome letter, I have a little getting started checklist for them. So it's just things like making sure they've thought about and I understand what have they joined Kleeneze for, what are they looking for. Because it's no point going through some detailed team building training with somebody if actually all they're looking for is an extra £50 a week fitting it around the school run, and they just want to do catalogues to get started. So little things like that, you should have something that you can send to them to get them thinking about things like that. So I have this little checklist that I go through, and I sent them the welcome letter. I go through this, and again, it's just a chance for them to talk to me, to explain to me what their situation is. You may well know all of this from conversations before they joined up, but it doesn't harm to go through that. I also have a little kind of checklist on what to do when the catalogues arrive, preparing to deliver your catalogues for the first time, preparing to collect your catalogues for the first time. And I just kind of go through the first bits of that and make sure that they've got it and they know where to look, so that when the catalogues do arrive, they're not sort of feeling like, oh crikey, I've just got 250 catalogues, I've got no idea what to do. So that checklist just gives them a step-by-step kind of approach. So then maybe day 3, I would then ring them up and just say, has everything arrived okay? Just to make sure that their kit has arrived, their bids kit, the day slips if you've ordered one of those for them, the catalogues, everything else. Making sure everything's arrived okay, and just asking them, have you got any questions? Usually they've unpacked the box by then, they've sort of found a round book, or they found some DVDs or some leaflets, or the catalogues aren't quite what they expected or whatever. So it's just answering any questions that they might have. And usually about then I say to them, so have you got an idea when you're planning to put your catalogues out? And it just starts to set a bit of expectations, because if people start to say, oh yeah, well, I've opened the box, I think I'll probably kind of take the catalogues out next weekend and get them all labelled up and everything. And then I've got a few days when I'll be a bit busy, so I'll probably get half a dozen catalogues delivered just around our cul-de-sac the following weekend. Now, they may think that that's going to be fine and is going to start building their business for them. But you also need to kind of set their expectations that actually, if they're looking to earn even just £50 a week, they need to be looking to get their 250 catalogues out once a week. And the sooner they're aware of that, the better. So just little things like that, I was exaggerating a bit then, but you know what I mean. So day 4 might be they've got their catalogues out. They've unpacked the catalogues, labelled everything up, and they've been and delivered, say, half the catalogues, 125 catalogues. That's brilliant. So I always just say, how is it going? How does it feel? Is everything okay? Did you have any questions? And whatever they've done, I always sort of say to them, well done. You know, even if they've only put a few catalogues out, taking that first step. I mean, there's a great story. Mike and Amanda Bibby have been doing a lot of training recently at meetings. And for those of you who don't know, Mike and Amanda, very, very successful distributors. And the first time they got their catalogues, Amanda said, right, off we go, let's go out the door. And Mike stood in the door frame, if you like, and said, I can't go out. And he was just, nervous, I guess. Trying anything new is a bit scary. Nervous about going out. So whatever somebody has done, even if it's just, oh, well, I only put a few around my neighbours just to get a feel for it, then congratulate them and just sort of say, well done, that's great. Everyone's really nervous at the beginning. Some people will put all 250 out the first day. Some people will just do their street just to get a feel for it. But you kind of congratulate them and just kind of gently move them towards, okay, if you're looking to earn that £50 a week that we talked about, you should aim to try and get the rest of them out over the next few days, or whatever works best. So day 5, that might be a gap. If they put the catalogues out and it's a couple of days before they're picking up, you can just ring them up again, just ask if they've got any questions, anything that might have come to mind. Again, you might find that in some of the times that you're trying to ring them up, they're busy or they're not able to talk, or you don't get through to them. So you might not actually speak to them every single day. But the point is, you're kind of just trying to make sure that they know if they've got any questions, you're available for them. And then it may not be in day 6, but obviously once they've collected their catalogues back, with a bit of luck, they've got £150 worth of orders, so they'll be ready to put their first order in. Often they'll need help doing it. Some people are very independent. They'll kind of work out themselves. They'll have already logged onto the system and put an order in. Sometimes, one of the things you need to be aware of is sometimes people get their first 2 or 3 orders and they get really excited and they want to put that order in straight away. And I always say it's worth waiting until you've got the £150 worth, because then you'll get free delivery and you get obviously your 50 free catalogues in with that, with the 30-day challenge as part of that as well. And then maybe day 7, a day or 2 later after that, just checking that first order has arrived okay, that everything was in the box that they were expecting, they know how they're going to go and deliver it, all those sorts of things. So that gives you a feel for it. You don't have to follow that sort of day by day, but it's just kind of in that first week, calling them probably more often than you would imagine, just to sort of make them feel that you're always available for them. So that's that kind of first week. Now, what else is there to do? The Kleeneze business is a very simple business. It really is a bit like following a postman. Just pop a catalogue through a letterbox, collect it back again a couple of days later. Very simple. What can possibly go wrong? But there are a few little things that people can make mistakes, and just by anticipating them and warning people about them, it just saves a lot of kind of stress and worry for them early on. So things like their photo. They have to send a photo in to head office within their first 28 days. The last step of the sign-up process has an option where they can send it in then. So quite often, if you can, and they've got a photo that they're happy to use, do it at that point, and then you don't have to worry about it. But if they don't send a photo in within the 28 days, their account goes on, I can't remember if it's stop or hold, but anyway, their account effectively goes on stop, and they won't be able to then put any orders in until they've sent the photo and that's been processed, and then they get their ID card back again. So it's better to get that sorted within the first 28 days. Yes, Jack, yeah, just like a passport photo. And just kind of inoculate them again against failure. There's all sorts of things that can happen with your Kleeneze business. It can rain, you will have some poor pickups and you will have some great pickups. You will have some grumpy people and you will have some lovely people. And it's just being aware, if they go out thinking every time they put a catalogue through a door they're going to get an order when they pick it back up, if they think it's always going to rain, if they think everybody is an angel, if they think that everything's going to be perfect, then they're going to have a few shocks. So just not scaring them, but just preparing them that what the realities are, I guess, that there's a few little hiccups to work your way through. Make sure that your new team member has the names and telephone numbers of your upline. So hopefully the vast majority of questions that they have, you can answer them anyway. But if for whatever reason you're not available, if you've gone away on holiday or just for whatever reason they can't get hold of you, then make sure they know the number of the help desk. Make sure they know your upline so that they've always got somebody they can talk to if they've got any questions. And I talked earlier about the value of having meetings. So if you go to a local meeting, then make sure they're aware of a local meeting near them. If they're not local to you, then have a look on the DSA. There's a list of all of the open evenings around the country, and make sure they're aware of one there. And what I would recommend that you do, if you can't get up there, and obviously sometimes it's just not practical to drive the length of the country for an evening meeting, then on the DSA, where it's got a list of all of the meetings, it normally has the name and the telephone number of the person that's organising it. And in my experience, they're all really welcoming and friendly and love to have new people at their meetings, because it gives the whole meeting a buzz, even if this person isn't directly in their downline. Having new people there is great for the local meetings. So I would just give them a quick call, say, Graham, it's Chris Smithy here down in Ringwood in the New Forest. I've got a new team member who'd like to come along to your open evening next week, and I just wondered if you'd keep a lookout for them and make them welcome. And that way, when they do turn up, they're not kind of feeling like a stranger stood at the side of the room. They get welcomed and introduced to some of the other people. I always explain the steps towards building your customer base. Okay, I've got a couple of messages here from Dave and Sue about the sound breaking up. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if that's my internet or if it's. I guess if there's more than one of you that's having a problem, it's probably something at my end. Oh, no, Martin and Dave and Karen say are fine. So, okay, guys, I'll do my best. Hopefully, on the recording afterwards, the sound will be fine. Make sure that your new team members are aware of building a customer base. And the key points here are, when you first start off, you're delivering 250 catalogues to lots of houses, and you've got no idea whether they're going to order from you or not. So you'll have the grumpies, you'll have some poor pickups. But as you go back each month and you start getting more and more customers and you're crossing out the people that don't want a catalogue, when you get to the point when you've got a customer base, it's so much better, because you're only delivering to people who you get your catalogue back, you often get orders from them, and they're the nice friendly people that you want to go and see anyway. So by explaining to them how you get to that point, it allows them to get over some of the initial pickups and drops when they might not be as good as they'd like. And as I've said at the beginning there, really just repeating those first 7 days, talk to them regularly when their kit arrives, after they've first dropped their catalogues, after they've first picked it up, and helping them to place that first order. Now, one other area I just wanted to go through here, because this happened to me earlier on. If you've got a team member who joins on the instalments, now you can either pay the whole £160 up front, or you can spread the cost over 4 months and just pay the £25 to get started. If they start on instalments, then make sure that you know when the dates are of each of the instalment payments. So there's 3 more payments over the next 3 months of £45 each. Now, depending on your own finances, you may not have to worry about that. But if it's someone who's joined Kleeneze because they really need a bit of extra money to help pay towards their bill, they may not always have £45 in their bank account. And if you miss one of these payments, and it's like a direct debit, so you don't have to pay it, Kleeneze take it from your account using the card that you used at the startup. But if you miss one of those payments because you don't have the funds in your account, then the first thing that happens is your account goes on hold. So that's pretty bad, because obviously that means you can't place an order. But the worst thing that I found about that is, in order to activate your account again, you have to pay off all of the outstanding amounts on your instalments. So it's not just a case of saying, oh, I'm a bit late, I'll pay that £45 now. You have to pay the remaining, £135 or whatever's outstanding. If it's the first one that you're missing, then you have to pay all 3 all in one go to get started again. So I found that it's a lot of people kind of fall foul of that, and they go on hold and they say, oh crikey, I've just got the money now, I'll go and pay it straight away. And it's a big shock because effectively they can't get reactivated until they've paid off all of what they owe. Okay, so those are the kinds of if you like, inoculating them against little errors and that you should keep track of. And on the subject of keeping track, the other important thing, I talked a little bit at the beginning about the bonuses that you can earn. So it's important to keep track of your new starters and how many orders they're placing, how many catalogues they're putting out, so you can see if they're on target for what they're looking to earn. So obviously, to start off with, you need to know how much do they want to earn. And is that realistic? So if somebody says, oh crikey, I've just kind of, my rent's just gone up, just had another baby, I really need another £1,000 a month to cover all of my new costs, and I've got a couple of hours on a Saturday morning to put some catalogues out, then you have to kind of explain to them that's not very realistic. But once they understand, if they sort of say, okay, yeah, I'm looking for an extra £50 a week, I've got sort of 10 to 15 hours a week, so I'm going to put my catalogues out once or twice a week. Once they know how many catalogues they need to put out, then you can help them keep track with that. And make sure that you explain the bonus system. Now, I'm not saying go into all the nitty-gritty of sales plan values and 13%, 15%, 18% and all the different figures, but make sure that they're aware of how it works and what their first bonuses are. And normally you just need to know kind of 1 or 2 steps ahead. So the bonuses that I always say to people at the beginning are obviously the 30-day challenge, making sure that they're aware of the dates, when does their 30 days end, because in their first 30 days, every order that you put in that's £150 or more, you're going to get free delivery and you'll get the free 50 catalogues. Make sure that they're aware of what they need to do if they want to hit their 10% bonus, and obviously that you're explaining to them a little bit about the period structure, 28 days, and if you can get it's around about £200 a week in orders, then you'll hit 10% bonus, which is worth an extra £50 to you, and the 90-day challenge as well, if you're helping them go for that. So once you've while you're keeping track of all those things, as a leader, and if you're introducing new team members, then you are a leader. You may not yet think of yourself as one, but your new starter is looking to you as a leader, and as their leader, you should make sure you go to as many of the meetings and trainings as you can. Now, obviously, I'm speaking to the converted here because you're all at this webinar, so it's great. That's a great start. But obviously, the actual face-to-face meetings, if you can get to your local face-to-face meetings, even though I say it myself, are more valuable than the webinars, because you kind of get the buzz, if you like, that people by meeting other people and your team members and so on there. And it's really important that you show the importance of those meetings to your team members. If you say to a new team member, there's a meeting not far from us down, in such and such a hotel or whatever, and I don't bother going to them myself, but you should go along because you'll find them useful, then your new team member is obviously going to say, well, if you don't find it very useful, I'm not sure that I want to go. So you need to go to them to set an example. I said there, be the leader you seek. That's a phrase that I use a lot when I'm thinking about myself. If I was a new starter and I was looking for inspiration, what would I be looking for? And then I say to myself, so I need to provide that for my team members. I mentioned earlier a checklist. I'm not going to go through this in any detail, but it's just a kind of an example of the sorts of things that I do and I tick off as I'm going through my for a new team member. So making sure you've got all of their details, understanding what they want out of Kleeneze, sending them emails to keep in touch with them, a welcome letter I always send. If you help them get started with a bid starter pack, make sure you've got that on your list. What else is there? Introduce them to the webinar training. So obviously you guys are all involved in the webinars anyway, so make sure your new team members are aware of them. loads of little things like that. And as I say, by having a list of the things that you do for your new team members, and if you're not sure where to start, then ask your team leader who introduced you to the business, what do they do when they have a new team member starting? And that's a great way to get started. Most of the stuff that I use now is the stuff that Sue Marshall and Bob Dalton did for me when I started. And I've added a few bits here and there, but you know, the vast majority of it is what's already kind of in the system, if you like. Okay, so that's kind of tracking your new starter, helping them get started, making sure that they kind of, you know, are aware of any kind of little hiccups that they might fall foul of. For you, as you start to grow your PSG, your personal sales group, it's also important to keep track of that. And you can see if your business is growing quite easily. And the things that I would recommend it's worth having a look at is how many active distributors do you have in your team. So that doesn't mean how many people are there in your team altogether, because a lot of them will come in and then, you know, might put an order or two in and then decide it's not for them and they leave. But they may not actually leave and disappear from your group sales analysis, but you'll know that they're not putting orders in, so they're not really active. But what you're looking for is for the number of active distributors. And by an active distributor, I'm basically saying somebody who places an order at least once per period. How many new distributors are you bringing in? Because obviously, if some of your older distributors are leaving, you need to replace them with new distributors, and you want to be growing. You want your business to be growing. Well, I'm assuming you do. Sorry. And how many serious distributors? Now, I haven't defined what is a serious distributor, but you can probably work out yourself. It's somebody who's, you know, regularly doing retail, who's talking to you frequently, who's asking about, you know, becoming a team leader themselves, introducing other people to it, and just keep track of, you know, what sales you've got in a period. You can tell if your business is growing because your income grows as well. But just keeping a track of that is a great way to see, are you doing the right things? And in the words of Jim Rohn, measurable improvement in reasonable time. You can, as long as you can see and feel that your business is growing and it's not taking you forever, then you're obviously doing the right things. And if you want to increase the growth in your business, just do a bit more of it. You know, you're obviously doing the right things, but you can always do a little bit more. Okay, I'm just going to check now, guys, that you're all awake, that you've been listening to me. Now, I know a few of you said that the sound died a little bit, but quick question there. Oh, Amanda's on the ball. Very good. How many serious people do you want in your team? Dave, yep, okay. Dave's ambitious. He's looking for 10 serious people. Martin's going for 50. He's going to dominate the business for the next 20 years. Dave and Karen, 5 to that. Yeah. I mean, we all talk about having 5 serious people. If you've got 5 people in your team who themselves are really ambitious and are trying to grow their business, then your business will grow, whether or not you want it to. So 5 is a good number to start, but you know, obviously anything more than that is fantastic. Okay, I've mentioned earlier about calling new starters. How often do you think you should call your new team members? Yeah, every day I do. I try and call people every day, and obviously if they're busy or they can't answer or whatever, I'm not too worried, because people always still have busy lives. So, but especially at the beginning, call them as often as you can. And if you aim for doing it every day and you end up speaking to them 5 times in the first week, then that's brilliant. There we go, every day in their first week. That's what I've said. So, just coming towards the end now, guys. So what we covered was understanding the numbers, the fact that not everybody who joins your business is going to stay. And if you stress out about it, then it's not very healthy for you. So just understand that some people will leave, and as long as you feel that you've done everything that you can to support them, then there's nothing more you could have done. That's fine. And the importance of those first 7 days, building that kind of rapport, anticipating any early problems, helping them keep on track, meeting them, getting them along to their first meeting, which is critical, really, and just having a little checklist for yourself, so you're not having to remember everything every time you bring somebody in. Okay, so that was number 5. Next week, I'm pretty sure I'm doing one again next week. Next week is the first of the personal development one. So what I'm talking about next week is grow yourself to grow your business. Sounds a bit cryptic, doesn't it? So you have to tune in same time next week to find out what that's all about. And I mentioned earlier about the fact that these are all recorded, so if you want to watch this one again, or you want to go on any of the other 8 that are already on there, if you go onto YouTube and just do a search for Chris Smith Kleeneze, you'll find me on there, and there's all the old webinars and everything. Okay guys, I'm just going to stop the recording now.